So here's his starting lineup for the main final of the 2016 EFRA 1/8 IC Track European Championships. The world champion in this class, Simon Kurzbuch, rolls off first and would appear to be impervious in this class. He's looked very, very strong. Robin de Hondt, the surprise Super Pole winner, and a man who's been growing in confidence this entire weekend. Could he spring a surprise and claim his first major trophy? Bruno Coelho, the reigning European 1/10 IC Track European champion from Turkey last year. Could he add the 1/8 trophy to his list? We now have Gruber, Balestri, Kalari, Piche, Lino, Yalassi and Raiola joining them on the starting grid. This is a grid full of quality and we're about to get it underway. We've now got 45 minutes to decide a European champion. Are we ready? And away they go. It's a really nice start from Simon Kurzbuch. He does everything he needs to do. They stay pretty line astern, but a good pass up the inside from Gruber. Early on Coelho, he gets the pass straight back on him. Kurzbuch, though, we're looking to try and drop de Hondt quickly and set those searingly fast times that we've seen so far in the previous sessions, particularly in qualifying, but de Hondt is threatening already. De Hondt will not let Kurzbuch get away. The world champion is threatening to make a lightning start. De Hondt is right there with him. We're not going to have a defending champion. The defending champion of this event was out. De Hondt got a little bit loose there through the previous corners. If we drop back just one car, there's Kurzbuch, the second car in line. We watch de Hondt fend off the charges of those behind him. Coelho is putting a huge amount of pressure on, but Coelho has got a pain train of cars behind him as well. Tony Gruber is threatening. Dario Balestri is menacing, and Lamberto Calari is also in there as well. In fact, right the way through to car 10 in 9th spot, which is Carmen Raiola. They're all nose to tail pretty much. Timu Lainu had a bit of a bad start and he's fallen a little bit off the pace, but Coelho is starting to put pressure on de Hondt, and de Hondt is struggling to live with Kurzbuch, who's already putting in qualifying level lap speeds. He's looked absolutely composed the entire weekend, ice cold, calm and collected, and he's denying it now. He's starting to move away almost immediately, but there's a long way to go in this race. Remember, pit strategy still to come into play. Conditions to come into play. Mistakes can happen. Flameouts and mechanical issues. We've seen that already. Just ask Kurzbuch's countryman Silvio Hachler about that through the EFRA hairpin and down the back straight. De Hondt resisting the early advances of Bruno Coelho. Coelho is right there, the flamboyant Portuguese driver. His style suited the 1/10 down to the ground. His aggression worked perfectly. And in fact, one of the men he beat for that trophy last September in Izmir was in fact Simon Kurzbuch. Will roles be reversed today, or can Coelho produce something special? The point is though, Kurzbuch is already laying down laps in the 26.5 second bracket. Those behind him are 0.3 of a second a lap off. These guys are going to have to find something special. This is the battle we're focusing on for now. Simon Kurzbuch starting to move away a little bit out in front, but de Hondt is not that far behind still. De Hondt is now 2.8 seconds down, and we're barely 3 minutes into this thing. Kurzbuch got the start he needed. He didn't need any disruption. He didn't get any interference. He made a great start. De Hondt, though, is still there. De Hondt is starting to get into his own groove now, down into the 26.6s. That's matching the leader's pace now. Kurzbuch's dropped it off a little bit. Maybe he's doing a little bit of a gap management there. Coelho is being kept at arm's length. The battle's a little bit further down the field, are fast and frenetic. But de Hondt through the EFRA hairpin once more. He's starting to drop Coelho just a slight amount, and it will be in about a minute or so's time that we'll start to see pit stops for the first time. Will guys try to go long and minimise their pit stops? We saw Piche try and do that in the semi-final. Or will they lose too much time in the process, having to run a slower engine mix to save that fuel? That will remain the question. We're expecting pit stops from between 4 to 6 minutes each time. But the point that needs to be made right now is that Kurzbuch is already up 3 seconds over second place. De Hondt, who's had a half spin, that's allowed Coelho back into play. De Hondt with the first mistake. Blink first, Coelho tried to slide it up the inside, trying to do the slide job. That's a classic Coelho move. He's flamboyant and aggressive. But de Hondt holds his nerve and gets back into a good groove. And in fact, Coelho is now, if anything, under more pressure from Tony Gruber just behind. So Jean, if we could drop one car back and watch Coelho, who's just run wide there, and that's allowed Gruber straight into play. We timed that well. Gruber is right on the back of Coelho now, looking for the final podium spot. but Gruber has to break off that attack. He makes his first pit stop right at 4.5 minutes. First pit stop's underway. You can see there from our pit camera there. First few stops are in the books. I think Teemu Lainu just made a stop as well from the back of the field. Kurzbuch is on the march, but De Haan still second. Coelho still third, and Balestri has now moved into fourth with that first stop. Coelho makes his first stop of the race. Onto pit lane he goes. Balestri also in there as well. They're pitting side by side. Quick pit stop as well for De Haan. De Haan is back out there. That's a great pit stop for De Haan. I think Carmen Riola is either a lap down or has tried to go a little bit longer on his first stint. So De Haan making his way down the back straight. The erstwhile second place runner, I think Lamberto Collari in car 6 has tried to stay out as well. So I think Collari and Carmen Riola have stayed out. Yes, Collari and Riola have stayed out a little bit later. So De Haan will come through now and resume in second place after that first round of pit stops. In the blink of an eye, they're all through. But what's interesting here is that I feel like Coelho has been snagged somewhere because he's fallen down several positions. A car has flamed out in the middle here, right in front of us in the TKR turns. It was number 6, which was Lamberto Collari, who made his way up the order. No more now. De Haan now is coming under pressure from Tony Gruber. De Haan through in second, Gruber third. Coelho had a miscue on the first pit stop, which has dropped him quite some way down. Coelho now scored 8th. De Haan just ahead of Gruber. Kurzbuch is the dominant leader at the moment. I think car 6 has had another issue. We'll be coming around to see him in a minute. There he is. Lamberto Collari. His race is rapidly descending down the drain, I'm afraid. But De Haan is still in a solid hauling pattern. He's not got the pace or the ground speed to keep up with Kurzbuch. To be honest, I don't think anyone here does. Kurzbuch's been on another level since they unloaded on Wednesday. But for De Haan, it's all about getting what he can get. We never know. Last year in this race, Balestri was the leader until around half distance when he had a flame out. His car tumbled down the order, and it was Oliver Mack who picked up the pieces and grabbed his first European Championship. Will De Haan pull a similar stunt here? He's got to rely on something going wrong on Kurzbuch's car, which hasn't looked like happening the whole time we've been out here. De Haan ran the EFRA hairpin once more. He's put a nice gap now on Tony Gruber as they come through this S section again. And they've already completed 14 laps as they come through. De Haan is on the move, and they'll be coming up on a second round of stops in a few minutes' time. Round every 5 minutes or so. Give or take about 30 seconds either way. And De Haan is working well. I'll tell you what, Jean, let's see if we can find our leader, Simon Kurzbuch. He's coming over the scoring loop now in the white, orange and yellow car, just beneath us through turn 1 and through the TKR turns. Here's our leader, Simon Kurzbuch. Let's have a look at him for the moment, because he is out already to a strong lead, although I think De Haan has just pulled that gap back a little bit to 2.6 seconds. That's not the gap that it once was, but I wonder if Kurzbuch now has something in reserve. Oh, he hops over the rumble strip. That was a little bit aggressive there. But you do wonder if Kurzbuch has something in reserve. That's only someone who I can see moving through the field. Yeah, Lamberto Collari is down 9th, and Coelho is down 10th now. He's scored last of all the drivers. Coelho must have had some major issues. He's still running. Coelho is down far end of the circuit, but Coelho's still out there, but he has tumbled. He's 2 laps off Kurzbuch now. He must have had some sort of drama on his pit stop. To be honest, he lost a lot of positions on his first pit stop. Maybe something didn't go right on it. But everything is going right so far for Kurzbuch, although I say that De Haan is actually closing the gap ever so slightly. De Haan has got the gap now to 2.4 seconds. De Haan running 26.5 second laps, Kurzbuch up into 26.7s. So De Haan is actually closing back in. And De Haan has certainly left behind the third place car of Tony Gruber, who I think has just pitted, which will promote Balestri up into third for the time being. One man on the move as well is Teemu Lainu, who's now up to 5th spot, and has climbed up well from his initial starting position of 8th. But as we watch Kurzbuch here, let's watch that gap rather closely, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on the next round of pit stops when they happen. Kurzbuch has stabilised the gap at 2.4 seconds, and he comes into the pits. So this will be a crucial stop for Kurzbuch. De Haan's in as well. Now, this will be absolutely important. DeHont's in. Kurzbuch's already back out. A really, really good stop. Ah, super smooth. That's exactly what his team needed. That's exactly what he needed. His crew delivered down there. He got himself out there with a little bit of breathing room back under his belt. DeHont is still not that far away, though. It has to be said. DeHont is running a good race so far. And we'll see what the gap is coming across the line this time. Kurzbuch across the line then. And then DeHont through. And the gap has gone out, but it's still there. It's still exactly the same. 2.4 seconds. It has not changed at all. So that lead battle is still there. DeHont's not letting Kurzbuch get away. And that's exactly what you have to do. Just keep him in your sights. Even if you don't have the ground speed, just keep him right there in your sights. It's possible Kurzbuch's got something in reserve. But for now, Kurzbuch is, we thought, laying down a clinic. And one that will be impossible to keep up with. He's eked the gap out a little bit now, another 10th or so. But as Kurzbuch heads down the back straight once more, DeHont, I think he's starting to fade a little bit again. They are running so fast right now. It is qualifying speeds, really, at this point in time. So as Kurzbuch comes to the TKR turns once more, DeHont across the scoring line. It's now out to 2.8 seconds. Kurzbuch's dropping it. He is dropping the hammer now. 26.388 on that past lap. As if to say, Robin, what have you got? And at the moment, DeHont is close to his super pole speed, but not quite there. But Kurzbuch really dealing with the pressure fairly effortlessly, you have to say. What's the gap as they come around this time? 2.6. It's fluctuating, you know. It's not going out hugely. It's not going anywhere near over 3 seconds yet, but it's not closing up a massive amount either. It's really interesting to pay attention to this so far. There is quite an interesting battle for third I want to have a look at some point as well for Tony Gruber. But let's keep following Kurzbuch. At the moment, Gruber just fending off the attentions of Balestri. But DeHont is running a good race. He's running a sound race. 2.6 the gap again. It's level. And I tell you what, John, as we stop at the EFRA hairpin, just wait on the back straight. We'll let the cars come through. That'll be DeHont coming through, and then Coelho, then this orange car coming through next. Those two cars going down the back straight now are your third place battle. That's Gruber and Balestri, the two cars on your screen. A lot of orange in one shot. Tony Gruber, your third place runner, and he's fending off the attention of Dario Balestri, who's been less than a second behind. In fact, he's 0.9 seconds behind for most of the last stint or so since their respective pit stops. So the battle for the last podium spot is to be hotly contested here between the German Gruber and the Italian former champion Balestri. Balestri talked to us before about the importance of left side tyres, the importance of wear rates, and the importance of tyre strategy in this one. That car ahead of them, well, Gruber's now in the lane, so Gruber is in the lane, Balestri's doing an extra lap, so Gruber, an important stop needed here. He's down and away. He's down and away, and we'll watch for a little bit. Team Line, who's just ducked into the lane as well. So the latest round of pit stops beginning. I'm also going to keep an eye on when Simon Kurzbuch comes in. If he does, Kurzbuch not in this time. So let's follow Gruber. Continue to follow Gruber. Does Balestri pit this time? I think Balestri is making his fuel last a little bit longer. He is. So Balestri's still out there. Gruber's in a net third, or should be in a net third place given the pit stops. But Balestri's crew have been nailing it, and that battle for third has been heating up as a result. Gruber, I think, has had the faster car, but Balestri's had the faster crew, and that's been decisive. So as we watch Gruber, I'm going to keep an eye on, out of the corner of my eye, on Kurzbuch and DeHont, what they're doing. At the moment, we've got a distant, tense battle for the lead, where there's just a bit of a gap, but it's not really much at all. Balestri continues on for another lap, and this battle for third is one that could really escalate at any moment. Balestri, I think, once he makes his stop, will be right there or thereabouts with Gruber, unless Gruber's been putting down some more seriously quick outlaps here since his stop. A rundown for you at around 15 minutes in. Kurzbuch leads DeHont by now 3.1 seconds. That gap's leaked out a little bit. Balestri is third with a pit stop to make, ahead of this man, Tony Gruber. And I think Balestri has made his stop. Has he? I can't see him out there. And I think Balestri has made the stop. Balestri has, yes. And I think it was a slow stop for Balestri, because he actually has lost quite a bit of time to Gruber there. So I wonder if that was just a slow stop or if he was actually putting on a new set of tyres. Surely not this early in the race, you'd think. Just 15 minutes in. But it does have the net result of putting Gruber back up into third spot. 6.3 seconds up the road, and that is actually quite sizable. He's now 3.1 seconds on Balestri. The gap before the pit stops was less than a second. Daniele Iallassi is fifth. Timu Lainu has worked up to sixth. Carmen Riola is seventh. Robert Peach down eighth. And Kulari and Coelho are off the lead lap after their problems in the pits earlier. So I think we need to go and find our leader. He's going through the EFRA hairpin right now. Is the white and orange and yellow car down the back straight. There's Simon Kurzbuch. Back to our leader, who's just slowly edging the gap out. Him and De Hont are in a time trial masterclass at this point in time. That's what it is, basically. It's time attack. And at the moment, Kurzbuch is just edging ahead ever so slightly. He just chips away at that lead, lap after lap, 3/10 that lap. It's now up to 3.6 seconds. De Hont is desperately trying to stay with him. It's proving harder and harder to do. Gruber is now 7 seconds behind Kurzbuch now. Balestri 9.4. So Kurzbuch is laying a beat down on this field as we expected, but De Hont is trying to stay with him, and it's quite a surprise that it's Robin De Hont. I mean, coming into this weekend, you wouldn't have necessarily expected it to be Robin De Hont who had been the man providing the biggest challenge for Simon Kurzbuch, but he's been in really good form this weekend. He dealt with the pressure of Superpole magnificently to take that out in a duel that was separated with all four cars separated only by 300ths of a second. He dealt really well with that to take a super tense Superpole win and get himself into the final, and so far he's backed that up all the way. He's looked really, really good. It was down 3.4, it's now up to 3.7 again for Kurzbuch, who's now got a little bit of traffic to deal with. I think that might be Lamberto Colari's car that he might have to pass going down the back. That's Carmen Riola, actually, that will be the next car in shot that Kurzbuch has to navigate past. But so far, it's been absolute plain sailing for the world champion, who looks on to add a European Championship crown to go alongside his World Championship title. And it will be richly deserved if he keeps up this performance. De Hont now at 3.6 seconds. It really is... The gap is not moving to any dramatic amount. It is literally tenths of seconds. Sometimes hundreds of seconds in terms of lap time difference. They're both lapping in the 26 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s, qualifying speeds, effectively, which is incredible across an entire race pace. Now, Carmen Riola behaves himself well, gets out of the way. De Hont has got the gap down to 3.3 again. It just feels to me like each one are taking swings at each other, but Kurzbuch seems to get the bigger swings in terms of tenths gained on De Hont. Balestri is now third, 9.7 seconds back. I assume Gruber has made a stop. I believe he has. Peach is now up to 6th. Lino down 7th. As another cycle of pit stops gets underway. We'll watch for when Kurzbuch makes his stop. And in comparison to Robin De Hont. Robin De Hont, who's now got the gap down to 3.3. It could not be closer. Down the back straight once more. The thing is, at this point, what makes this so tense is although Kurzbuch is laying down a masterclass and looks impervious, if he makes one even small mistake, De Hont is going to be right on him. So this is what makes it so tense. As Coelho's car slows, he's had a pretty disastrous final. Oh, I wonder if he was coming out the pits and actually let that lap traffic through, because he now appears to be up to speed. But Kurzbuch now up to 4 seconds the lead over De Hont. Just gradually extending that margin out to a point where it will be unbeatable. He hasn't looked like making a single mistake all week. That's the thing with Kurzbuch, but he's in the pits now. This is where a mistake could happen. His crew have been pretty effortless. Fueling in. Doesn't look like any tyres going on. Back out. There's De Hont's car. There's context for you. Kurzbuch's back out as De Hont comes in. The gap was 4.3 coming into the pits. We'll see what it is now after they come round on their out laps. Pitting at the same time, so matching strategies. Where's Kurzbuch now? And I think he's gained even more time. I think his pit crew are doing a magnificent job down there. This is a guy at the top of his game, at the top of his form, with a crew to match. Across the scoring loop, where's De Hont at in relation? I think the gap's gone out, if anything, even further. 4.4 seconds, so De Hont again stabilising the gap, but it's just those tenths of seconds that he's chipping away. They're just not able to gain any further on that. So it's Kurzbuch leading De Hont by 4.4 seconds. Tony Gruber is about 2.6 seconds further back. In third, fourth is Dario Balestri. Daniele Alassi is fifth, and then sixth is Teemu Laino. Seventh is Carmen Riola. Eighth is Robert Peach. And then ninth is Lamberto Colari, and 10th is Bruno Coelho. Both those guys laps down at the moment. In fact, Yalassi, Lino, Riola and Peach are actually a lap down to our leader Kurzbuck. That says a lot. Well, Yalassi and Lino, Riola, they are coming across the line now. They are almost a lap down. They're a long way back on Kurzbuck. But that gap, again, just being chipped away. De Hondt's doing enough to just desperately try and stay in touch. But every so often, one absolute steaming lap from Kurzbuck will come in and will eat the gap out ever further. And it just seems like De Hondt can't get enough to come back at him. It's a really, really tense struggle. As I say, if Kurzbuck trips up once, then De Hondt's going to be all over him. It'll take one flip, one flame out, something like that. And Kurzbuck will have De Hondt all over him. These two are in a pace zone of their own right now. And in fact, De Hondt's pulled it back to 3.8. So De Hondt takes a big swing now. He's desperately trying to stay in touch. And he is just about doing so. So this has been a really good run so far from De Hondt. But does he have enough to consistently close in on Kurzbuck? I think Kurzbuck's consistency and the ability to pull out those qualifying level laps at key moments are really where he's winning this race. Back up to 4 seconds again. As soon as De Hondt makes any gains on Kurzbuck, Kurzbuck takes them right back with some change. Down the back straight once more for Kurzbuck. 4 seconds back is De Hondt. 3.3 behind De Hondt is Tony Gruber. A few seconds further back from him is Dario Balestri. Daniele Alassi, Robert Peach, Teemu Laino and Carmen Riola are your lead lap cars. And Bruno Coelho is in the lane again. He's down many, many laps now. So his European Championship final really didn't get underway much past the first pit stop. And in fact, I think it is now game over for Coelho, which is a real shame. This isn't, I think, his preferred discipline, but he is still very, very strong in a 1/8 car, and it would have been fantastic to see him claim a 1/8 title to go with his 1/10 title last year that he won so brilliantly in Turkey. Round the EFRA hairpin goes Kurzbuck again. It's 4.1 seconds. The gap is so close. You can't almost can't afford to take your eyes off it. Balestri has moved up to third. Now here's something. What's happened to Gruber, I wonder? Gruber is still out there, but I think Gruber has made his pit stop, but it's put him behind quite a big group of cars. So depending on what the scoring monitors tell us, I might we can have a look at the battle for third. It might have hotted up again. Balestri is in the pits now. And let's see where Balestri comes out at. Now, I think he may have lost. I think Yalassi's just gone through a few guys who are not pitted yet. Where's Balestri coming out at? In fact, Balestri hasn't rejoined yet. And that'll put him right back in with Gruber, I think. Gruber and Balestri are out nose to tail. So, any minute now, Jean, if you can stay at the EFRA hairpin just now, we'll let Kurzbuck go through. And then the orange car coming through now, the second of those two orange cars is Tony Gruber, who has resumed just in front of Dario Balestri. I think that is the battle for third. Kurzbuck is in the pits, and in fact, I think De Hondt, has something happened to De Hondt here? No, those two are actually a lap ahead, I think. They've now pitted in. So Kurzbuck and De Hondt are pitting beneath us once again, matching strategies. But it is now Kurzbuck back out. Kurzbuck gets back out again, and De Hondt is seems to be waiting quite a while for him to rejoin. He's now back out. I think he's lost time in the pits. We're following Gruber, who is now down in 6th place. Now, I wonder if both Gruber and Balestri took tyres on that last stop, because they've dropped a long way back. They have faded quite a long way, actually. So the third place runner right now is actually Daniele Yalassi in car 9. And everyone will make their tyre stop at some point, of course. But maybe Balestri and Gruber have made their change now. Gruber has once again gapped out to Balestri. He appears to have superior ground speed. So it is still Kurzbuck now 6.3 seconds out over Robin De Hondt. Third place is now Carmen Riola in car 10. Fourth place is Gruber now. So Gruber is moving back up. These pit stops happening now. Tyre stops are occurring I wonder if that's where DeHont lost a little bit of his time making that tyre stop. So Gruber comes underneath us. Carmen Riola is not far ahead. A big gust of wind blowing across the track. And Gruber is not a huge amount behind Carmen Riola right now. He's about 2 seconds back. So this is the 4th place car you're watching. You will not miss a single thing here on RCTV's live coverage of the EFRA 1/8 IC Track European Championships final. Carmen Riola still holds 3rd for now, but Gruber is closing, or at least I thought he was. Gruber is not closing at the moment. It's a 1.4 second gap, and if anything, Riola's actually lapping a little bit quicker. So Riola, I don't think, has made a tyre stop yet. That'll be why he's jumped up the rankings so dramatically from where he was not long ago. Yalassi and Timu Lainu are now down 8th and 7th respectively. Now here comes Gruber into the lane. Gruber's in the lane. Fuel only. Balestri goes back through. And Riola has continued on still. So Carmen Riola, I think, might be trying to tactically play himself into this battle for 3rd. Balestri, as we've seen before, has gone on longer generally on his stints than Gruber. And we've got a VRC Pro replay of that pit stop. And, there's a little bit of problem on the exit. Tony Gruber, ouch. I saw James grimace there as he left the pit lane. And Gruber, he just got set down at an awkward angle, and the rear wheel spun him straight into the wall there. Doesn't appear to have affected the balance of the car in any way. I'm just having a look here. I think Carmen Riola may have just pitted. So Balestri, I think, has not pitted yet. Yes, Balestri has now scored 3rd, and Gruber should be scored 4th. Bearing in mind, Gruber has made a stop on this cycle. We think Balestri has not. So Gruber is your 4th place car right now, potentially coming up to 3rd once Balestri makes his latest stop through the HPI hairpin. And Kurzbuch, meanwhile, has leaked that gap out now between himself and DeHont to 8.2 seconds. It's a masterclass out there, really, from the world champ. And Balestri is having a good run as well. He's up in 3rd, the former champion of this event. Balestri on the podium. Balestri talked a lot to us earlier about pit strategy, about when to take tyres and when not to. And at the moment, it appears he's judged it pretty much spot on. Balestri now in the lane. Balestri now in the pits. We will see now if Gruber takes the advantage back. Balestri, I think Gruber will take the advantage back. Yes, he does. Balestri rejoins. And chops the nose off for car 7, which is Robert Piche, to keep his 4th spot. No quarter asked or given from the 2 former champions as they get their own duel underway. Gruber comes around once more. I can see Kurzbuch on the other side of the circuit. DeHont actually appears to have closed up a little bit. Maybe that's my eyes deceiving me. Maybe the pit stops are a certain cycle at the moment. But I think we might have to go back to our leader in a minute, Jan. He's coming across the start-finish line now. He's right beneath us. Through the TKR turns. He's the white, orange and yellow car. There's our leader, Simon Kurzbuch. And just as I say that, I got the gap down to 1.6 seconds. But I think that was because DeHont was off-cycle with his pit stop. Because DeHont is in fact still in the lane. No, DeHont is back out now. DeHont is back out. So that was why the gap had closed up in such a way. I figured that would probably be the case. But I thought we may as well pay attention to it in case a dramatic change of position occurred. So Simon Kurzbuch continues laying the beat down on this field. He's now about to put a lap on car 7, Robert Piche, a former champion of this event, and no slouch at all. But mere mincemeat for Kurzbuch in such dominant fashion. Yeah, the lead gap now is back to where it was, 8.5 seconds or so between Kurzbuch and DeHont. DeHont can still be very proud of this performance, don't get me wrong. It has been a really, really good drive from the youngster. And as I say, I saw him at this event last year. He was steady, he was consistent, he was pretty smooth, but he did not have that outright race pace that would threaten the top end of town. The fact now that he is almost on a par with the world champion and comfortably ahead of such guys as Piche, Balestri, Lino, Yalassi and more really says a lot about his development as a driver, how he's come through and he's really extended his knowledge and his base level of driving. But Kurzbuch, meanwhile, he's been on another level since the flag dropped, really. And the fact DeHont stuck with him for so long and provided such valiant resistance is the biggest props you can give to DeHont. Now the gap's now up to 9.2 seconds. So Gruber has now meanwhile made a stop beneath us. I think pending on what they do there, I think the battle between Gruber and Balestri has a chance of going all the way. Balestri obviously on a slightly different pit cycle, but Kurzbuch continues on his mesmeric way. DeHont struggling now to stay with him. The gap is now, it wouldn't be surprised me if the gap's now, it's nearly 10 seconds, it's 9.6 seconds now, DeHont behind Kurzbuch. How on earth Kurzbuch could do this lap after lap? I haven't seen him put a single foot wrong. I have not seen him make a single mistake. Not a single headbutting of a rumble strip, sliding the car out in the corner, banging a wall, flipping over, nothing. Kurzbuch has been the picture of perfection out here so far. And with 15 minutes to go, he's got this one made. He's got every chance now of bringing home a European title. Alongside his World Championship as we watch Kurzbuch continue on his way. Lap after lap of perfection. This is very hard to achieve. DeHont is now nearly 10 seconds back in second. Balestri is third. And still ahead of Gruber, I think, by dint of the pit strategies. But I do wonder if that strategy is going to pay off. Balestri seems to be going a lot further every time. Balestri now 16 seconds down on Kurzbuch. And where's Gruber in relation? Gruber's quite a way back. So I'm just going to keep an eye on, we keep watching Kurzbuch as he pounds around this track, putting on a masterclass of precision RC driving. And DeHont now down over 10 seconds, 10.7 seconds. DeHont is just not able to live with that pace, but no one else is, quite frankly. Balestri, 16.5 seconds back in third. I'm just keeping an eye on Balestri and Gruber because I think Balestri has a pit stop to make, and Balestri is currently making it. So Gruber goes round back into third, I think. Balestri is still out there. I'm keeping an eye on those as we watch Kurzbuch, just because I'm curious to see. Balestri's now in for his stop. We may have a bit of a battle for third on our hands here because Gruber is quite some distance back. So I'm going to keep my eyes on Balestri, who's back out again. And Balestri appears to now be in third spot for good now. Kurzbuch in for one of his last stops of the race. It'll be this and probably two more. Kurzbuch is out. And DeHont is in now, is trying to match the pit stops. I think Kurzbuch has been helped by a brilliant performance from his crew, you have to say. That's another area where they've been faultless. He's been faultless on the track, and his crew have responded with perfect pit stops that have consistently been almost a second quicker, you think, than DeHont around that pit stop cycle. So we continue to follow Kurzbuch. DeHont second on the 10.1 seconds back. Balestri is third now. Seems to be in third for good now, ahead of Gruber. That pit strategy appears to have eventually paid off. Well, DeHont now down to 8.5 seconds back on Kurzbuch, though. He has made a little bit of that time back, but again, as we said earlier, just chipping away, really. And Balestri is now in third comfortably. Fourth place is Gruber. Now 23 seconds down on the lead and in 9 seconds back from Balestri. Peach is fifth. And I don't think that far back from Gruber, in fact. DeHont now back up to 9.1 seconds. Just as you think that gap is coming down a little bit, it doesn't. It leaks back out again. That's been the story of the race. And it must have been frustrating for DeHont to be that close and yet in the same breath that far. But it's been that sort of race for him. Peach is now showing as a lap down. I think Kurzbuch has actually lapped everyone up to fifth place, which is another measure of his lap speed. DeHont trying to hold the gap at 9.1 seconds, I think for pride more than anything else. But he will still get a place on the podium, and that is a huge achievement for DeHont. And DeHont's laps, as I say, have still been really, really good. It's just that Kurzbuch has that extra, absolutely right on the ragged edge lap to deploy whenever he wants to, kind of at his will. But DeHont has closed the gap again. I wonder if Kurzbuch is just managing that gap now. He doesn't mind the fact that it's coming down a little bit. Maybe he doesn't know. 8.5 seconds now. It's still a big gap around a track, even around a long track like this. 8.5 seconds is huge. It's basically the length of a pit stop. if you think about it. So Kurzbuch leads over DeHont. We are watching Kurzbuch continue on his masterclass around here. He gets a 10th back on DeHont that lap. Balestri remains a solid third, and he's largely untroubled by the look of it from Gruber. Kurzbuch is through. I think Balestri has just made a stop. Will this bring Gruber back into contention? I don't think so. He's still a fair distance back. So Kurzbuch through. In fact, I think Gruber will go through. The alternating strategies are an interesting one. DeHont still under 9 seconds on the gap. He's still keeping it there. As I say, DeHont's laps are some of the fastest he's turned all weekend. It's just the same with Kurzbuch. Kurzbuch has been on another level all weekend. So Kurzbuch is on 75 laps and just over 10 minutes to go. Now 76 laps and just over 10 minutes to go. DeHont in second. Gruber's now moved back to third. So I wonder if Balestri gained some time on him by making, or Gruber made a tyre stop earlier. And now Gruber has made that time back. Robin DeHont has been driving a really good race, it has to be said. But we've been watching Kurzbuch play a masterclass now for quite a while. So let's, if we can, stay in the next corner, Jan, and drop back one car, because the next car through your frame will be our current third place car, Tony Gruber. Round he goes in the all orange machine with the white and blue on the side. And Daniele Elassi now showing fourth. Gruber, I'm pretty sure there are actually sparks coming off the cars at certain parts around the track as they bottom out, as they hit the bottom of their cars. Gruber coming round. Now, I'm interested to see where this works out, because actually I think Balestri has had some sort of bad issue here, because he has now scored 4 laps down on the leader. So a disaster for Balestri, who was having a fine run and was challenging for third, but I think something has gone drastically wrong on that car. So Gruber is now your third place runner, and he looks like he's going to be taking this third place out. Daniele Elassi is not a million miles away in fourth, but has a lot of work to do to get there. DeHont still keeping that gap at 8.4 seconds for the lead. Gruber is actually being scored a lap behind both of those guys, so Kurzbuch and DeHont appropriately are on a lap on their own. Gruber third, Elassi fourth, Carmen Raiola fifth, and Robert Piche scored sixth at the moment. Lamberto Colari seventh, and Dario Balestri now 5 laps behind the leaders in 8th place. No way for that race to finish. Timu Lainu looks like he's also had some issues as well. He's dropped back and he's out of the race. Bruno Coelho, we know about, was the early casualty. So Gruber looks like he's got third place on the lock. He's got about 5 seconds in hand on Daniele Elassi for that third spot. Some more shouting from the pit lane. Hard to tell if there's real problems or that's just how they're communicating with each other. Gruber in the lane then. Gruber's in. So where does that leave Elassi? Answer, I don't think anywhere near. Gruber returns on his way. Yeah, Elassi's quite a distance back. I think Elassi must have pitted around the same time. So Gruber looks to be fairly unchallenged in terms of his position. So Gruber continues on his way, and just worth pointing out, I'm sure this is Kurzbuch managing the gap, but Robin DeHont has got that gap back down to 6.9 seconds, so he's chipped away a little bit of that lead. And in fact, Jean, if we drop one car back from Gruber, the car we're following, the next car coming through will be Robin DeHont. Give a watch of this car. He's now pulled out 6.6 seconds on Simon Kurzbuch. As I say, I'm pretty sure that's gap management. So I'm fairly certain that Kurzbuch has pace in hand if he wants it. Judging by the lap speeds, almost certainly. But I wonder if DeHont just has something in reserve here. Well, it's gone back up to 7 seconds, so I think DeHont is really he is fighting so hard to make a fist of this, to make a battle of this up the front, and he really deserves credit for it. He's kept Kurzbuch honest the whole way, and he kept him in a position where if Kurzbuch has tripped up even once, DeHont will be there to pick up the pieces and profit. So you have to give DeHont credit. It doesn't look like Kurzbuch is going to make any mistakes. There's still time for a mechanical failure, but again, that hasn't looked likely since Kurzbuch's unloaded. And to be honest with you, I think Kurzbuch does have something in reserve as he's now chipping the gap back out again. As DeHont goes searing down that back straight once more, up probably over 70 miles an hour as they go down there. Gruber still holding a safe third. And in fact, Gruber is the next car ahead for De Hont. So that shows you the pace that these guys have been running at. And De Hont is actually ahead now, scored ahead now of Kurzbuch. Something happened to Kurzbuch's car. No, Kurzbuch's just pitted. I wonder if he's put tyres on. So De Hont now scored as the leader. He's trying to go an extra lap on Kurzbuch. I wonder if that's tactical. I wonder if there's something here that we're seeing from De Hont. Maybe a final roll of the dice. Trying to go a little bit longer on fuel, a little bit longer on his pit window. He goes again. He continues on. So we have a late change of lead here. De Hont is now out in the lead. Gruber is actually now second. Viola's third. And Kurzbuch is now scored down fifth. So I wonder, has Kurzbuch had some sort of lengthy issue there? That doesn't seem like a scheduled stop at all. Kurzbuch's been on the money every single time. Was that a tyre stop? Or did something go drastically wrong for the world champion that's knocked him right down the order? Kurzbuch's actually been scored upwards of 2 laps down on De Hont now. As Teemu Lainu's car is slowing on the back straight as well. Did Kurzbuch flame out there? I'm really not sure. I'm actually looking for him on the track. I can see Kurzbuch's car still going round. Did they have to change something there? Has this changed the entire complexation of this race? Has Robin De Hont's strategy of keeping Kurzbuch honest for the entire race worked out? So we're watching Gruber right now, who's running second. 1 car back from him, Jean, is your leader, Robin De Hont. De Hont is now your leader, and he's scoring as your leader. And in amongst all that, they're just moving past the car. That's car 6 of Lamberto Collari, who's flamed out, and no marshals could hear anything. They were sat both with their backs to it. They didn't know what was going on. Right, let's find our leader again. He's coming down he's coming in the pits now. So in comes De Hont now. Could this be the game changer? Is there fuel going? It's just fuel. It's just fuel for De Hont. So he's back out again. Is that Kurzbuch going back through? Past him to the lead, I'm not sure. We'll have to watch when the scoring updates. And we are following Robin De Hont because he is now scored as the leader. Gruber's just ahead of him, but Simon Kurzbuch's just ahead of him. Now, is that for position, or is Kurzbuch further back? Did he have a bigger issue? Kurzbuch comes across the line this time. No, Kurzbuch's still being scored 5th. No, Kurzbuch scored 3rd now. He scored 3rd, so he's actually on the same lap as Gruber, just ahead of him. So something drastic has happened here late in the going, and Kurzbuch through past Gruber for 2nd. De Hont also makes his way by. The difference is De Hont's on another lap from these guys. He's a lap ahead. De Hont has taken the lead here, and he's 3 minutes away from becoming European champion. The Super Pole winner, the man who has been on pits, and Kurzbuch's back in the lane actually. He's back in the pits again. So something must have gone drastically wrong for Kurzbuch. I can only assume he's had a spectacularly unscheduled stop. A glow box come out maybe, a flame out, missed a fuel window, who knows? But De Hont, we talked about this all day. We talked about Robin De Hont running fast enough to stay with Kurzbuch in case something happened. That's exactly what's happened. De Hont was almost matching Kurzbuch. Kurzbuch was chipping away, extending that lead, and now something huge has happened to Kurzbuch. He's now scored 4th. He might not even be on the podium after this. This is absolutely extraordinary. But what we are certain of is that De Hont is your current leader and is 2 minutes and change away from becoming your 2016 EFRA 1/8 IC track European champion. In what's been a marvellous drive, you have to say, from De Hont, he stuck with Kurzbuch for the entire way. Kurzbuch tried to shake him off and was gradually doing so, but De Hont stayed with him. He never gave up, knowing that if Kurzbuch so much as tripped up once, he'd be able to profit, and that's exactly what's happened. Kurzbuch has made one slip up. He's in fact fighting now for second. In fact, there is actually a battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th emerging. So we might be able to have a quick look at that before the end of this race. Sean, if you stay in that corner right now, the next 3 cars coming through, your battle for 2nd. They're a lap behind that car, the orange car of Gruber, then it's the white car of Yalassi, and then the white, orange and red, yellow car of Kurzbuch. Your leader for so long in this race. This is your battle for 2nd. This is all happening a full lap behind Robin De Hont, who must have wondered, who must be thanking his lucky stars right now. It's all come good. He's made his own luck in this one, but this is the battle to the end for the final podium spots. 3 into 2 don't go. Oh, a little bit of contact there on Gruber. Yalassi really going for it here in the closing stages. This is bringing Kurzbuch into it. Kurzbuch is also there. Kurzbuch, the fastest man on weekend, is in danger of not even finishing on the podium here. Gruber is trying to defend from Yalassi. He's going to go deep right into the HPI hairpin. Yalassi is all over the back of Gruber. He has the faster car. Kurzbuch's just waiting to profit on both these guys. This is going to be a battle to the death, and it isn't even for the win. It's for second place. This is how competitive these guys are for a podium finish at this race. Car 6, the guy you'll see behind them, is Lamberto Collari. He's on a different lap. So Gruber second, Yalassi third, Kurzbuch not even on the podium, having led so much of this race. It's extraordinary to think. Yalassi goes very, very wide out of the HPI hairpin. They are working so hard. This is ragged edge, seat of your pants stuff from these drivers. Kurzbuch trying to get through as well. But meantime, while this is all happening, De Hont is on his final lap. De Hont is about to come round and become European champion. In fact, he's in the banking. Jean, if we can get a look at our leader, he's coming through the HPI hairpin right now, through the S's. This is Robin De Hont's moment. He's put in a brilliant performance, and he's about to become EFRA 1/8 IC Track European champion. And then just behind, coming across the scoring loop now, they're going to be side by side for second, and Tony Gruber takes it at the line. He holds off Daniele Yalassi.